Hello YouTube, and welcome back to another video. It's Champion 2D Rob. This is a pickups vid. This is basically all my pickups from the last couple of months. December and basically January. This video got held off quite a bit just because there was some games I bought, took a while to arrive. And then of course in the meantime I'd ordered some other games and they took a while to arrive, so it just sort of prolonged this video. So I thought, you know what, I may as well just wait until the end of January or around that time to sort of make this video and show you guys. So yeah, I've got a decent selection here, nice little build up of titles, and also extra special, I also have a few figures to show you guys. Some figures that I had long given up on ever getting, just because they were extremely expensive, out of print, really difficult to get. But I recently, well, shall I say in December, I kind of lucked out on them. And I got them for great prices. So yeah, I think I'm going to start with those figures. Now, before I get into the figures, I just want to give you guys a little bit of a story here. Back in the day, back in the 90s, probably one of the first things I ever got into in terms of geek culture was anime. I was really big into anime in the early 90s. I started collecting anime tapes back in the day. For those of you that grew up in the UK might have been familiar with Manga Entertainment. They were a UK based company that distributed a lot of quality anime back then. A lot of the stuff that we all know, Fist of the North Star, Ninja Scroll, Akira, etc, etc. And one of the animes that I got into back in the day was a series called the Guyver. Some of you might be aware of it, some of you might not be aware of it. But essentially, back then there was a series that sort of ran over sort of 12 episodes on 12 cassette tapes, which is actually, when you think about it, quite ridiculous. Because each episode was only about sort of 20 minutes long, so it was kind of like yeah, it seemed like a bit overkill to have like one episode per tape. But anyway, I loved the series so much. I was such a big fan of that series that I picked up the entire run. At that time as well, they hadn't even completed the storyline of the Guyver, because in fact the story of the Guyver is still ongoing today in the comics. They haven't finished it. So in the early 2000s there was also a second series produced which takes the story a lot further, but even then that one isn't even finished. And there have been a few sort of one-off feature films sort of adapting parts of the story as well that were never released in the West, but you can watch them easily enough on YouTube. But so anyway, so I was a big fan of the Guyver, and aside from the anime itself, there wasn't much out there in terms of merchandise, much less figures. And I think around in the early 2000s, around 2004, a company called Max Factory released a series of figures in the Guyver series of some highly detailed collector's figures. Now, I missed the initial release of these figures, so by the time I'd heard of them, it was probably around 2006, 2007, and by this point they were already going for over £100 each. So they were pretty pricey figures, and today it's very difficult to get a brand new figure without going into, like, we're talking 300, 400, sometimes even £500 here. So they are very expensive. Most of the time now you can get them used, which is what I had to do. I got these figures used, but even then they're still very expensive, and like I said, I've pretty much given up on them. But I was doing some random eBaying during December, and I came across this auction that was for two figures, two boxed, complete, supposedly mint condition Guyver figures. Now, when I saw the auction, it was already around the sort of £80 to £85 mark. I figured it was going to go into triple figures. I figured it was going to be, you know, probably be at the 300, 400, £500 mark. I wasn't, you know, I expected it to be a lot of money. So I put in just a random bid. Not expecting to win it. I put in a bid of £150, which I honestly was not expecting to win it. at all. £150, boom, I'm going to forget all about it. Then I get the notification, I've won the auction. I figure to myself, okay, I'm prepared to pay it, that's fine, but I was expecting to have to pay off the maximum amount. But to my delight, it actually tapped out at £120, and I was so happy. But I was still sort of a bit wary, because I figured, I don't know, the seller probably wasn't expecting to get such a low bid. He's probably going to say something or try to pull out of the auction. But no, true to his word, he sent them, and they were in fantastic condition. And I'm so happy, because these two figures, one of them in particular, goes for a hell of a lot of money. So £120, while it might seem like a lot of money, it was actually a complete bargain. So I'm going to get to the figures now. The very first figure I got was one that was obviously the main protagonist of the series, and that is Guyver 1. Now, these are highly detailed figures, guys. They even come with stands, so you can display them. They're not meant for kids. These are detailed collector figures. Unfortunately, you can't see very well just because of the plastic. They do actually come in these sort of protector cases, but obviously for the sake of the video I removed them. But just to give you a better look of what the figure looks like, that's pretty much it. And yeah, this is the main character of the Guyver. This is Guyver 1, and he's a fantastically detailed figure. I think for me, the Guyver, along with characters like the Predator, they're just some of my favourite sort of designed fictional characters. I just love the way they look. They're just so well designed. So yeah, that was the first figure. So me just winning this alone, I would have been extremely happy with. But no, I also got Guyver 3. And this one I was so happy with, because he is extremely expensive. This is an extremely expensive figure. He's a very sought after figure. For those of you that are familiar with the Guyver series, know how much of a badass Guyver 3 is. And yeah, so I mean, he's a very expensive figure, very sought after, so I was really chuffed to get him. So anyway, just to put into context, yeah, so I won both of these figures together for £120. And this figure, Guyver 1, can go anywhere between £100 to £150. This one alone. Sometimes even more, it really depends. But Guyver 3, we're talking about anywhere between sort of the £200 to £300 range alone. So I was so chuffed to get him. And to make it even sweeter is the fact that there are actually two versions of this figure. Now, he comes with shoulder blades, like the Guyver has these shoulder knives. And with this figure he actually has a variant, and the most common one is the one with the translucent blades. That's probably the one that most people tend to have. But then there's the black bladed version, which is the more sought after version. And for me, fortunately for me, this was the version I got, the black bladed version. So I was really happy. I mean, I can even show you here, guys. You see that this is the translucent one, which is basically the standard one. That's a standard figure. And this is the, I don't know if you can see properly, but this is the black bladed version. So yeah, so happy to get these. And like I say, guys, I'd actually given up on these figures. I was not expecting to get them at all. So to finally get them, as a big Guyver fan, this just means so much to me. So I was really happy to get these. I currently don't have a place to display them just yet, but I will do. I will find a place for these. These are definitely coming out of their boxes, and I'll put them somewhere to show these ones off, because yeah, massive fan. So really happy to get those figures. But it doesn't end there, guys. I actually ended up with another Guyver Max Factory figure. Now this one was actually on a buy it now, and it was a local listing. In fact, all of it was local. Fortunately, so there was no taxes, no import charges, nothing like that. These were all bought within the UK, so I was very lucky also in that regard. But this next figure here, this one was actually on a buy it now. The seller had it for £150, which was too much for me. I wasn't willing to spend £250 on it. But I sort of been watching it for a long time, and I noticed that he dropped it to £135, which for me was still too expensive. But it seemed like he was willing to move on the price, and he did have a make an offer option. So I looked up on sort of the completed listings just to sort of see what this figure went for on auction, and it tended to tap out around the sort of £90 to £100 mark, anywhere between that. So I sent him an offer along with a message, just sort of saying, look, you know, this is sort of what the figure tends to tap out on around auction. So this is my offer. I offered him an offer of £110, which I thought was a fair offer, and that's not including postage. And I sort of said, like I explained, it sort of goes for about 100 quid. So I thought, you know, £110 I thought was a very fair price. And luckily for me, he agreed. And yep, so he sent it. He sent it very quickly. It was well packed. It was well packaged. And I was really happy to get this one. And the figure that I got was Murakami. He is the Proto-Zoolord from the Guyver series. He's another good guy. And just to give you a look on the back here, one of my favourite characters, and he was actually in the series that I watched as a kid. He appears only once in the series, but because they didn't actually finish the run, we never actually get to find out his backstory, and it would actually be a few years afterwards before I'd find out what his backstory was. If you watch the recent Guyver series that came out in the early 2000s, they do go much further in the storyline and do explain his background. But otherwise, you had to read the comics or sort of find the information online. But yeah, I was really chuffed to get him because he's one of my favourite characters, and I'm glad that I can display him as well as the other Guyver figures. So yeah, really chuffed to get him. And like I say, £110. So you can see just to highlight what the other figures went for, how much of a deal I got with those. Just this one alone was £110, and I got both of these for 120. So yeah, really chuffed to get these figures. It's just nice to get some Guyver merchandise, because they're pretty much all very expensive. Now there actually is a second wave of Guyver figures by Figma. I did actually briefly own one, but I had to return it because there was a default. There was a manufacturer default, so I had to return it. I actually bought that figure before I stumbled on this, so I actually wound up with two Guyver 1 figures, one from Figma. And it's actually a really good figure, but it was very expensive. It cost £90, but because there was actually a default on it, I had to return it. I may pick it up at some point down the line, but for now these will do. But I'm really chuffed to get those figures. So yeah, that really made my Christmas, because I actually got all of these around Christmas time. So again, more gifts to myself, should I say. But anyway, moving on to the games, and I've got quite a few games here. So I think I'll start with the odd one out. This is actually a reproduction. It is of a game that technically was never released for the Mega Drive. So it's one of those ones that they sort of put the ROM onto a cartridge and packaged it and sold it off, and I definitely wanted to see it. And this pickup was actually inspired by the Retro Godfather Dal, the YouTuber Retro Godfather Dal. I watched Pete on a Retro Chips. He did a fantastic video, guys, which was a room tour. You know, he does a series of room tours, and he went to the Retro Godfather Dal's place, and we got to see Dal's fantastic collection of import titles and whatnot. And there was one title that he had in his room that I saw in the video that just caught my eye. And I've always known of this game. I've played the game on emulation, but I wasn't aware of anyone making any sort of physical reproductions of it. As like I say, this game was not released. It only got as far as the beta stage, and then it was sort of cancelled. But you can actually play the ROM via emulation. But me being a fan of the series, I wanted to get a physical copy if possible. So I looked around online and I did find one, and what I got was Ninja Gaiden for the Mega Drive. That's right, Ninja Gaiden for the Mega Drive. For those of you that don't know, this is actually a side-scrolling beat-em-up. Unlike the Ninja Gaiden games that most of us are aware of, it's not like the side-scrollers from the NES, the Master System, and obviously the 3D hack and slash games. But then of course you had the original arcade title, which many people forget was actually a sort of side-scrolling beat-em-up. This is not actually a port of the arcade game. This is its own game, but it sticks to the sort of the side-scrolling beat-em-up format. So it's kind of like it does have some platform elements as well, but in essence it's a beat 'em up. So I was really chuffed to get this actually. I mean it looks nice, but it's in one of those nasty, cheap cases. This is not like an official Mega Drive case, and I actually did try to swap them out, but unfortunately the label is a little bit too big for the standard case, so I might have to do some adjustments to get it to fit in a regular Mega Drive case, because these cases are nasty. And yeah, it obviously comes in a cartridge, standard sort of Mega Drive cartridge, but you can tell it's like a repro cartridge because it has the little dent here. I need to stick this down though. It's a little bit. It's not the best, I'll admit, but it's just nice to have a physical copy of this, and yeah, just an oddity to have in the collection. So yeah, chuffed to get that. Next title here now. This is basically the one official retro title, should I say, that I picked up, and it's for the Master System. Now this is a game. There are two games in this series on the Master System, and this one just sort of caught my eye, and I was just sort of waiting to get this game for a right price, because it can go for a fair bit. It's not extremely expensive, but it's a fairly sought after title, and it doesn't really appear very often on eBay in very good nick. Most of the copies I've found tend to be in really crappy condition, but fortunately for me, this one is in virtually mint condition. And what I picked up was Zillion 2, the Tri-Formation. The only bad thing about this, it's in fantastic condition. Only bad thing about it is there's actually a price sticker on it, and that's actually not on the plastic, that's on the inlay. So whoever did that deserves a smack. But yeah, it is of course complete, and it's in fantastic condition. Really chuffed to get it. It's a fun game, really hard. It's like an action platformer, side scroller. Yeah, just a very cool game that I've been willing to check out. I know it's based on an anime, and there's like shoot 'em up levels, side scrolling platforming levels. There's even like a motorcycle level, which is like at the very beginning. It's really difficult as well. But yeah, it's just a game that I've been sort of looking at for a while, so yeah, really chuffed to get this one. Moving on, I've got a game here for the PSP. This is a slight upgrade for me. It's not even really an upgrade, it's just something to satisfy my OCD. And what I picked up was Castlevania, the Dracula X Chronicles. Yeah, probably you guys aren't even aware of this, but I was actually, for a time, I was very big into collecting for the PSP. I've got a massive collection, I still have it. I don't really show it off much. You haven't really seen me pick up much for it nowadays. That's because I pretty much finished that collection a while back. I managed to get every game I wanted for it, and I actually already own this game. But the reason why I picked this one up is because this is the PAL European version, and I had the US version. Now, obviously, there isn't much difference with them aside from the rating itself. But what I noticed was that the instruction manual had a different cover from the European version, and that just really bothered me. And so I decided to pick up the UK European version as well. For those that don't know, guys, this is basically a remake of Rondo of Blood that came out on the PC Engine back in the day. It's sort of done in the sort of more updated polygon style. It's very much a 2D Castlevania game, but just sort of given updated graphics and voice acting as well. But what's great about this version is that you can actually unlock the original Rondo of Blood as well as Symphony of the Night. You can actually unlock Symphony of the Night on this as well. So you essentially get two versions of a fantastic game, as well as a bonus fantastic Castlevania game in Symphony of the Night. So if you have a PSP, guys, you need this. This is an absolute must-have, and it's just nice to have this. I'm keeping my American version just because I will store it as a variant. But yeah, just really chuffed to get this. Next up, I have 3 games here for the 3DS. And yeah, just 3 games. One I was really looking forward to getting. Another one that I had been sort of waiting a long time to get. And the other one was inspired by a YouTuber. So the first game I picked up, now this game, it was recommended to me by Alex, aka Nintendo Arcade. How you doing, mate? He recommended this title to me. I watched his 3DS collection vid a little while ago, and this game had been on my radar, but I just sort of forgot about it after a while. I just thought, you know what, I'm not going to pick it up. But he convinced me to pick it up. He said it's a really good game. It's a real-time strategy game. And those sort of games I do enjoy. I enjoy a lot of these sort of real-time strategy games. Japanese-wise, you know, Fire Emblem, Advance Wars. And from a Western point, I do like some of the Warhammer ones. I've played a few of those. Those sort of games just really appeal to me. So this is one on the 3DS, and it goes for very cheap. And like I say, this was a recommendation from Alex. And that is Ghost Recon Shadow Wars. Yeah, it looks like a really fun game, so I'm actually really looking forward to getting started on this one. As yeah, I like these sorts of strategy, tactical RPGs, and yeah, chuffed to get that. Next game I got here. This is one game I've been wanting to get, but you know, being a Nintendo title, it just frustratingly holds its value. And so I'd sort of before been putting it off, but I'd always been wanting to pick it up. Eventually, I was given the opportunity as on Amazon. I was given a £10 off voucher through Amazon Now. For those that don't know, Amazon Now is unlike the regular Amazon store. Amazon Now, you can order selected items, which even includes groceries, which is sometimes I sort of order groceries through them, and you will get it within a couple of hours. But they also sell video games as well as other items, but only a select few. They don't have as large a library as the main Amazon website. But fortunately, this was on their Amazon Now, and because I got the £10 off voucher, it basically brought this down to £20, which I thought this was a great price to pick it up brand new. And what I got was Mario Kart 7. I've heard nothing but great things about this particular game, so yeah, I was just chuffed at it. Always wanted to get it, but like I say, I've just wanted to pick it up cheaper. But for whatever reason, I've not been a fan of getting used games on the 3DS. I have one, and that was only because I bought it at CEX with credit. But yeah, I've not really been a fan of, like pretty much all the games have been bought from brand new, but usually at sort of reduced prices. or if they're games that I really wanted, I got them at full retail, but only the Nintendo stuff. But for whatever reason, I was trying to hold off on this one, but it just would never come down in price. So I got £10 off this, so it was just great to get. And finally, on the 3DS, I also picked up Super Mario Maker. This is a title that I've admired on the Wii U. Really wanted to play on the Wii U, but of course I wasn't willing to buy a Wii U just for this one title. I like the fact that you're able to create your own levels, and the fact that they were going to port this over to the 3DS was awesome for me. The only bad thing about this version is that you can't go online with it in terms of being able to download other fan-made levels, which I think is a real shame, because the Wii U could do it, and I think it was a big selling point for the game. But I'm happy to own it anyway. I like being able to just make my own levels and just sort of giving them a try. It's a shame there is no real online feature. You can play levels via the share function, the link up, but it's a shame that that's such a big aspect, a big appeal of this title was being able to download other fan created levels. But I'm happy anyway just to make my own and give this a go. So yeah, really happy to add this as well. So anyway, lastly, we've come to a stack of PlayStation 4 titles here. Really chuffed with these games. I can't believe I actually have, how many here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games, 7 editions. Now, I've been trying to stop buying PlayStation 4 titles, but I never realised there was so many games that I wanted to get for it. I'm not trying to build up any sort of PlayStation 4 collection, but very much like the PS3, you just wind up with more and more games. But I'm really excited to have this particular bunch of games. There's a lot of great games here, but I'm going to start with probably the most standard one here. And this is actually the 3rd time I've bought this game, and that is the Walking Dead game. This is the Telltale game. This is the 3rd time I've bought this. I own 2 copies of this game on the PlayStation 3. I eventually moved them on, but I love this game. I flipping love this game. It's it's the point and click game. So much fun. I've completed it about 3 times on the PlayStation 3. And I just wanted the PS4 version, so that's why I moved on the other versions. And I have part 2 already, so I wanted to get part 1 just to complete it. It's a brilliant game by Telltale. So much fun. For me, I just find it really replayable, and yeah, I just really enjoyed it. So yeah, glad to finally get this back in the collection. Well, first time on PS4, but glad to get it back anyway. The next couple of games I've got here, some fighting games. Now, I haven't picked up really any fighting games on the PS4, so I thought I'd start now. And this one was going for a very cheap price, so I picked up Guilty Gear XRD Revelator. I know there's a sequel coming out very soon, but I wanted to pick this one up. It only cost like £13 brand new. And it looks fantastic. This looks fantastic. It's all done in sort of that 2D hand drawn style, but it's got, I think it's like it's still sort of in 3D, but not like sort of like the Street Fighter games. These still have that 2D look to it, and it looks fantastic. So I'm really happy to get that. And then I saw this. Now I was actually going to get the first game in this series, but then I saw this one, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to get this version instead. And what I got was, I forgot what it's called there. I've got BlazBlue Central Fiction. This is basically the latest BlazBlue game, and it boasts to have the richest, most epic story ever to grace a fighting game. We'll see about that. 32 characters plus revamped fighting system and more intense battles. So yeah, this looks awesome. I have been a fan of the BlazBlue series. I've always preferred sort of Guilty Gear more to BlazBlue, but this definitely looks awesome. So yeah, just great 2D fighting games to add to the PS4 collection. As I'd yet to really pick up any fighting games. I do have Mortal Kombat X, which is awesome, but aside from that, I just wanted to add a few more 2D fighters. So yeah, glad to add these into the collection. And the next set of games here, now this is, actually no, I'll leave those last. Next game here, now this is a title that moment I found out about it, I had to order it. Got it from Play Asia, but it took a while to come. Actually, I bought this on the 25th, so I actually bought this on the 25th of December, but it didn't actually show up until earlier this week, so it took a while. And like I said, I ordered it from Play Asia, and I picked up Wild Guns Reloaded. I can't wait to play this. This looks fantastic. This is very much what an updated version of a retro game should look like. Still has the old pixelated graphics, just sort of increased to high def. They've added 4-player co-op on it. Looks fantastic. I think for me, this is a must-have title if you like your old school retro game. So yeah, definitely look to get Wild Guns. Yeah, really chuffed to get this. And finally, next set of games here. These next two titles I actually bought from Limited Run Games. I was so excited when they announced these games, but I had to make sure that I got them, because with Limited Run, as it very much says in the title, it's very limited. They're done in very small print runs, so if you're not quick and you miss them, then you have to resort to eBay, and a lot of the times people try to sell these games at double, even triple the price. And I had to resort to eBay for one title for another Limited Run game, so I wanted to make sure that I did not have to do that again with these two titles, as these were games that I was very much after, as I'm a big fan of this series, and I'm a huge fan of the developer that made this series. So I was there. I basically went on Limited Run. When I found out the date it was going to be released, fortunately for me, it coincided with my day off work, so I was able to be on the website from minute one, and the moment they came on sale, I snapped them up. And just to let you know, it kind of ran out. I think in the first 5 or 10 minutes, they were all gone. And then they sort of released like a second batch, which again just sold out almost immediately. So I was really happy to get these games. And what I got was Shantae's Risky's Revenge, as well as Shante and the Pirate's Curse. So I'm glad to get physical copies on PlayStation 4 of both these titles. Now, Pirate's Curse did actually get a physical release on the 3DS, which I also do own, and I've actually almost completed this game. I'm on like the last level. It's a fantastic game. Brilliant title. So yeah, but I always wanted to get it first and foremost on the console, so I'm glad I've got the PlayStation 4 version. And just having Risky's Revenge, which was the precursor to Pirate's Curse, on a physical copy is just fantastic for me. I do actually have this game digitally on my 3DS as well, but it's nice to have physical copies of both these titles. Yeah, I was so chuffed to get both of them, and glad they finally showed up. So yeah, just awesome to have. And of course they also come with these sort of like cards things, and some stickers from Limited Run as well. And of course, getting those games, I had to jump on this one as well. And this is, of course, is the latest game in the Shante series, and that's Shante Half Genie Hero. This is the Risky Beats edition, and it comes with, just take it out very quickly, it comes with a CD soundtrack as well. So yeah, really chuffed to get this. Looking forward to playing it. This doesn't have a physical release in Europe just yet. I don't know if they're going to do it, But I'm glad to get this edition anyway. This is the latest game in the Shante series. It's still very much in 2D, but it has that sort of like updated 3D look to it. It looks amazing though. It looks flipping amazing. It looks like a moving cartoon. Really chuffed to get this, and I look forward to playing it. So anyway guys, that is it. Those are my pickups for the last couple of months, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Yeah, let me know what you guys think of the games, guys. What you guys thought of the figures. Was there anything that caught your eye? Please let me know. And yeah, so I will be back very soon, guys. So in the meantime, take cares, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.